Now, if you're choosing to look at an estate, you're probably wanting a car with a little bit more extra space. Maybe the family's expanding, maybe you've just got a dog, or maybe you just want the extra boot space an estate offers. Well, here is my review of the Mercedes-Benz E-Class Estate 2024. And spoiler alert, it's absolutely loaded with tech. Now guys, as I mentioned, this car is absolutely loaded with tech. So yes, we will go through that later, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of this video. But we've got to do the exterior first. And of course, look at these new light designs as well, especially at the rear, because those are a little bit different compared to any other car I've looked at before. So front first, Mercedes-Benz, of course, keeping those power domes on the bonnet here, which of course, just elevating that presence ever so slightly. New design lights here. These are actually called digital lights, which are amazing. They're basically mini projectors, which can control the light at night time. So yes, there is optional equipment, but if you do a lot of kind of nighttime driving, I definitely recommend that. Moving on to the grille, Mercedes-Benz have, well, I can only say even more stars than before. Tiny little stars just surrounding that big one in the middle, just again to remind you what you're driving. A lot of Mercedes do have this now, and there's even stars down here as well. So yeah, I don't know, if someone wants to count all of those stars, then let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, there are a ton. Speaking of the stars, that brings us neatly onto the rear lights. But yes, looking at the rear, you'll notice Mercedes have even put the logos in the rear of the car as well, actually in the rear light cluster. It certainly is a bit eye-catching. I've not seen that before on another car manufacturer where they put the logo in the light. But yes, this was even present on the saloon as well, so it's not unique to the Mercedes-Benz E-Class Estate. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, of course, as I mentioned, if you're looking at estate, you probably want that practicality, but with that does come an increase in the car's dimensions. So let's go through those now before we go through the price and packages and that sort of thing. So dimensions for this one, length is 4,950 millimeters, width 2,065 millimeters, and height 1,472 millimeters. Now, when it comes to price and packages, Mercedes have actually done something slightly different on this one. There's actually more choice and more options to choose from. Now, normally what Mercedes-Benz do is have executive or premium plus, or maybe just premium and premium plus, and those depict the kind of gadgets and wheel sizes, and they bundle them all together to make it nice and easy to choose. However, on the new E-Class, there's Urban Edition, AMG line, Premium, Premium Plus, and exclusive packages that literally make it look like a mini S-Class. So you can almost have like an S-Class kind of style to the car, which, if you don't know, is actually Mercedes-Benz's top flagship luxury model. It's up there in price, but you can almost have that sort of grille effect from an S-Class on the E-Class, which I think is quite interesting. I think it's quite cool. Now, on the road price starts at 57,780. Of course, the one I have here isn't the base model. It's a Premium Plus one and an E220d, so a diesel engine. I'll go through the engines later on the drive. But of course, depending on the package you go for, it can vary. It could go up to over £70,000. Just depends on if you go for a plug-in hybrid or select one of those packages I just mentioned. Now, just before we go through the boot, which is probably the most important part of this car, apart from all the tech, this car also has pop-in, pop-out handles, which is quite cool. So as you approach the car from a distance, you can press unlock and they'll present themselves just like that. And handily, because this is keyless, you can even operate the whole mechanism just by kind of touching in that area there. But watch, if I walk away and then start to walk back, as you approach the car, those handles will just pop out automatically, ready for you. How cool is that? Now, the boot on the Mercedes-Benz E-Class Estate is one of the most impressive things about them. They are absolutely huge. Compared with my daily car, which is just a hatchback, I would love this space. Obviously, just bear in mind which engine variant you go for, because if you have a plug-in hybrid, it will be slightly less. So the boot space with the seats up, kind of as you see here, can range anything from 460 litres, kind of up to about 615 litres. 615 is going to be this one just here. But if you fold the seats down, it will go up to a whopping, very impressive 1,830 litres. Absolutely loads of space. And of course the seats do fold a 40-20-40 split as well, and they even include a kind of dog mesh separator there as well. And folding the seats down is so easy, you just literally press the buttons and they fold down. There is also a tiny bit of underfloor storage space as well, just in there, so if you need to put anything fairly kind of secure, then you can pop it in there. It's not huge, but there's a tiny bit there. I don't believe the plug-in hybrid has that underfloor storage space. It is flat. If I remember, I think a plug-in hybrid kind of comes up to about here, but then it's flat. So it's like a little ramp just on the edge there. But still, all around practicality, it's great. Now, I just wanted to point this out. Mercedes have done this for years. However, I have this problem in my A-Class, and it's because I have long legs. We'll get onto the rear seats in a second. If I need to put anything really large in the boot of my own car, I have to move the driver's seat forward to actually get the rear seats down. But look what happens here. Mercedes just think of everything. The driver's seat moves out of the way. Oh, the luxury life. Oh, on top of this as well, there's even a 12-volt socket in the back for a rear dash cam. They really do think of everything. Okay guys, right, let's start with legroom first. Now, I'm 6'2", long legs, short body, and then, yeah, that is my driving position that I've been driving for the past few days, and sat behind myself with room to spare. That is rare. There aren't many cars where I can do that. A little tour round the back. So we have loads of space in the doors just here. Of course, we have our cup holders just on the side here. These are Mercedes-Benz's fancy cup holders that come out a bit like that. So nice. Popping back. Then we have dual zone climate control here on this particular car. As I mentioned, this is Premium Plus, so this may vary depending on which package you go for. 2 USB-C ports down there, illuminating blues. You can easily see them, so that's all good. And then we have this awesome panoramic sunroof up here as well. So yeah, very, very nice. Very airy, kind of open feel in here. I will add, one thing you notice straight away is the colour of these seats. Now, this isn't my preferred colour. I don't think I would ever choose a brown coloured seat. Who knows, maybe I might in years to come, but I think I'd personally prefer like a black or grey kind of coloured seat. But hey, it is nice to see some different options of coloured seats, just because a lot of Mercedes-Benz models are black, and, you know, I appreciate that not everyone wants black interiors, so maybe a lighter interior. Here on screen are the different options you can choose for the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, currently, and of course correct at the time of recording. But yeah, personally, I'll just go for a black interior just because I have a dog at home, and although he is a Vizsla, his hairs might kind of blend in with the seats. I think I'd still prefer black. Let's have a look now at this absolute tech fest up front, and let me just be honest with you right now. From here, it looks like one of the most futuristic kind of dashboards you'll ever see. Now guys, see what I mean by this interior design. It looks absolutely incredible. Now this is not to be confused with something that Mercedes released ages ago called the MBUX Hyperscreen. Well, I say ages ago, it was actually a few years ago. This is called the Superscreen. Now the difference basically is Hyperscreen is huge one slab of glass, whereas this is kind of separated, mainly because I think the Hyperscreen is just too big. It literally wouldn't fit in this car. But yes, this is an option. A standard kind of interior design would look a bit like this just here. So obviously something to factor in, just keep an eye out on which package it's on, and if you do want this setup, then I highly recommend it, because, well, anyone who gets in the car is going to just have their mouth open the entire time. So it looks really good. So I think to start, we should do a little tour of the front. So in here we have a little bit of storage in there. There's another 2 USB-C ports in there for charging, again illuminated, so that's pretty good. Then in here there's another 2 USB-C ports and wireless charging, so that's 6 USB-C ports in total. So all soft close as well, so very nice. Then there's a kind of touch bar just along here with some very quick access functions that you might need: drive mode, parking camera, vehicle settings, and mute and volume and that sort of thing. Then of course we have our screens. So over here is the passenger screen. So yes, the one over here is also a screen for the passenger as well. The main central display, which we'll get onto in a minute. Then we have the steering wheel. Now the steering wheel is almost identical to the one that I have. So this one has rectangular kind of bars going that way, and it's like a twin spoke kind of design. I really do like it. The only thing is it is touch, so I'm not a huge fan of touch buttons, but hey, I bought my car knowing it had touch, so it can't be that bad. You do get used to it after a couple of days anyway, and you just simply swipe to control various elements on the screen. If you've never had a Mercedes before, just thought I'd point out the gear stick. Gear stick is literally here, and then wipers and indicators over there. So pretty easy on that front. Now on this particular car, there's also ventilated seats and heated seats as well, so all about that luxury again. And of course down here, nice big door bins for storage on the side there as well. So all round, really nice design. As I said, I do love this super screen. I'll say we'll get onto that in just a second. Before that, let's talk about build quality. Now for such an executive car, just like the E-Class Saloon and now obviously the E-Class Estate, everything has these like kind of squidgy leather materials, even up here on even the very top there as well, which you can barely reach. Down here as well. This is kind of like a plasticky material, but it's not that harsh, not like that plastic in the back there. And driving it, which I've obviously driven over the past few days, is super quiet in here. I did actually note that this particular car had a thing called acoustic glass. You really do notice it. It's silent in here. It's almost like an S-Class. Oh yes, and for the keen-eyed viewer, you might have spotted, well, this thing protruding from the dashboard up here. Now that is a camera. Now I've not personally used that yet, so I'm hoping to include it in this video. So I'll hopefully check out to see exactly what you can do. But yeah, I believe you can go on Zoom in the car and actually make a phone call and that sort of thing. So that is going to be a little bit interesting. Now when it comes to the multimedia system, this is Mercedes-Benz's latest generation called MBUX, and I showcased this in the Mercedes E-Class Saloon review, which I did at the start of the year, and it is so impressive. For example, one of the cool features on it, on one of the packages, is a thing called digital key. So you know the actual keys that come with the car, once you've linked it, you kind of actually don't need them. You can literally keep them at home, just literally use your phone, walk up to the car, and the car will just unlock all securely and encrypted through Apple Wallet. That is cool. Now, before anyone who's watching goes, oh, BMW have had this for years. Yeah, I completely get that, but it is nice to see that Mercedes-Benz now have that on one of their cars. Well, actually technically two of the cars, because now it's on the Saloon and of course now it's on the Estate as well. So just need it to come to the A-Class, because I can't quite personally stretch to a car like this, but I would love that on my car regardless. So when you first turn the car on, this is what you'll be presented with. It's kind of just a very intuitive kind of display showing you different tiles like these things here, popping up and recommending things that you might need to do. So for example, every day you get home, you open the boot, it will suggest that on the bottom right. And of course at the moment I need to connect a Bluetooth device, that's the first thing. And of course if you're listening to radio, it will recommend things down there as well. So it's all really clever, learning how you drive the car, which is why it's so important to make sure that you log in with your profile. Speaking of, you can link up to 6 or 7 different profiles to the car and each have your own experience. So say I was going to drive the car a lot and then my partner was going to drive the car, she can have her profile as well and all have the settings, seat, ambient lighting, exactly the way that she would like it compared to how I would like it. But yes, one thing I do like to thoroughly check out on car reviews is of course ease of use of controls. So for example, using the sat-nav, tap where to, type in where you want to go, just like that. Yep, pull just down the road, let's go.
The route is being calculated.
Very easy to get the sat-nav going, and to mute and cancel, again very easy. Mute is there. Unmute.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
And cancel up there as well. So your start, stop and mute are within, you know, literally centimetres of each other. Now speaking of ease of use, of course, when it comes to climate control, it is all just down on the bottom here. So these are all kind of all fixed kind of views. So you basically adjust your temperature kind of like this. But yes, you can increase the temperature and all the reds will follow around and chase it round the back. Make it cold. Well, the blue will go around as well, all the way around. So yeah, temperature controlled there, fan speed there, and then menu lets you control all of these other things. Which I guess neatly brings me on to a thing called digital vent control. Now, I have been in the fortunate position to actually review a couple of Teslas and a few other car manufacturers that have done this. And if you look at their interior, they literally just have this kind of open vent. You can't manually go over and control the vent like this and move it left and right or close it and that sort of thing. And you might like that. However, some people want to actually control the vent and move it around and put it where you want the air to be. But Mercedes-Benz have done kind of the best of both worlds. And I haven't seen the car manufacturer do this yet, so I think Mercedes-Benz might be the first to do this. But this is called digital vent control. It does both. So for example, say if I put all the air over there to the left and point it down to the floor as well, maybe you want it in a different position. Well, all you do is just select where you want it to be and it will actually adjust and move all the vents, just like that. So it's the best of both worlds. You choose where you want the air to appear and it will adjust all of the controls, just like that. Say you want on upper body, and it'll move it all, just like that. If you want to change it, just tweak it and move it around yourself. So, best of both worlds. So yes, a few other features as well. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto as well. And if you want to toggle between the two, once they are connected, press home. And of course, then you've got the Mercedes MBUX Multimedia System. Then just tap on CarPlay at the top and toggle between the two, just like that. Now, one last thing I should add is up here, you may notice it says 3D just above my face. Now 3D, unfortunately I can't show this on camera, but basically there's two infrared sensors in here tracking the pupils of my eyes, and if I turn this on, I now have a 3D look in here, so I can move my head around here and I can almost see the numbers and elements on the screen kind of floating. It's very difficult to describe, and the only thing I can suggest is take one out for a drive, make sure it's got that, if that's something that you're after. And yeah, it's so cool because it's just this kind of depth effect. It looks like you can put your hand behind certain elements because it's got this like 3D effect to it. It's quite cool. But as you move your head, of course, the screen does move. So if you find that a bit disorientating, then you can just turn it off and then it's just back to normal. So pretty cool. I also had to try out Zoom in the car to see what that was like, so I connected the car to the internet, set up a camera and walked a few meters away so I can see what an actual video call would look like. Now, one of the other really cool things you can do as well is actually have Zoom calls in the car. Now, I'd imagine this would grey out when you're driving, but this is what that looks like. Zoom in the car on a Mercedes-Benz. Pretty cool. Now, a Mercedes-Benz first as well, there's also the option of creating routines. Now, routines are basically preset things you can select, and if the condition is met, an action can take place. So, for example, here, one I can set up is if the exterior temperature goes below 5 degrees, your heated seat can come on. And of course, there's so many different things you can customize and control in this program here. That's what I mean. In this car, is just loaded with tech. I could probably spend about 3 hours going through every function here. I've gone through all this so far. I haven't even gone through this screen over here yet, so we've got that to go through. But yeah, there's just so much tech in here. And for anyone watching thinking, oh, that's just over the top, don't worry, you only need to use what you want to use. I mean, my car, for example, has got loads of tech in it and I don't use, you know, half the stuff. I connect up Apple CarPlay and kind of do it that way, but you only use what you want to use. But for the tech lovers out there, this car has a lot. Now, when you swap seats just by magic, you'll notice that when someone is sat in this seat, there is a power button just here. And if you press this, you now have another screen over here. So say I'm sat over there, the other person, the passenger, can log in with their profile and again have their own settings and things over here. So say the sat-nav's over there, for example, and then you can actually go on here and control the music and even connect up headphones, and it's so cool, just the kind of media infotainment experience that this would never have been possible years ago, but is now possible now. Going on to media, this is where you can play, you know, movies and things, put like a movie on a memory stick or control online music, which I've made a video about before, linking Apple Music and Spotify, and I think Amazon Music was on there as well, and Tidal. You can link up your accounts on here and just have it playing back through your Bluetooth headphones. So it's so cool. So all that's great, but what is it actually like to drive? Very, very luxurious. It's almost S-Class level. I don't believe this is actually on air suspension or anything because I couldn't see any adjustments on the driving modes down here, but it is very, very smooth. It's not quite S-Class, so S-Class being Mercedes-Benz's top luxury car, which most of them do run on air suspension, but it is very, very, very close. It just glides across the road. and effortlessly pulls as well. You know, this is only the E220d, and you know, you put your foot down, which we'll get onto some faster roads in a minute, and it will go. It is a very, very fast, very practical, very luxurious car. And while we get to the faster roads, let's talk about those engines. So as I mentioned a couple of times, this is the E220d that I have here. So this is a 2 litre, 197 horsepower, but most importantly, a lot of engines now come with this kind of mild hybrid tech. Now I have mentioned this, featured it many times on my channel, but if you've never heard of it before, not to be confused with the plug-in hybrid, that's in a minute. Mild hybrids basically help assist the engine in its most simplistic form. They can make it go a bit quicker. They also help with turning the engine on to save fuel. It's like an extended version of start-stop, basically. That's the E220d. There's also an E200. This is also a 2 litre. This is a petrol version, 204 horsepower, and again coupled with that mild hybrid tech. Then there's an option for a slightly faster model. That'll be the E450d. So this is a 3 litre, 367 horsepower, but also again does have that mild hybrid tech. Just that extra 23 horsepower, just in case you kind of need that extra performance. And then we get onto the plug-in hybrids. So the ones I've just mentioned were mild hybrids, so you don't need to do anything. Plug-in hybrids are a bit different, where you actually plug them in. Now, Mercedes actually have 2 types. There's a diesel and a petrol. Very nice G-Wagon going past there, which might have a few Brabus conversion kits on. These are called the E300e and E300de. So both 2 litre, one's 204 horsepower, the other's 197 horsepower, but with the electric motors it's 129 horsepower on both of them. Combined, this is where the total output will be 313 horsepower. It's just the way it kind of works with an engine, electric motor, and coupled with a gearbox. Now these plug-in hybrids have a 25.4 kilowatt hour battery, which enables up to 57 miles range. Now these days, plug-in hybrids can really do a huge amount in converting your kind of local driving to electric. I would love to get a plug-in hybrid because I could just run on electric all the time, but then when I go on longer journeys, just switch over to the engine. So yeah, I have been eyeing up a plug-in hybrid because they do make a lot of sense. There is also a very unique model, and one that I've not seen before, with a rather interesting combination. This is a Mercedes-AMG, so high performance side of Mercedes, called an E53 hybrid. Now hear me out here. Imagine an insanely fast Mercedes-AMG engine, let's throw in 449 horsepower for good measure, but then pop in an electric motor and battery that can do everything that those plug-in hybrids can do that I just mentioned, meaning range up to 57 miles. So all electric driving and a Mercedes-AMG engine, that sounds like the perfect combo. Okay, right, let's get this out onto the dual carriageway motorway. Yeah, well, as I said, it won't take long for an E220d to get up to speed. Super luxurious and smooth though. That's the thing, if you're after an estate, this is definitely a contender for sure. I do remember actually I reviewed the Volkswagen Passat not that long ago actually, so that is still kind of fresh in my head. And one thing I forgot to mention actually was when we were going through the interior tour, in the Volkswagen Passat they have a USB-C port up here for a dash cam, which is a really good idea. Now Mercedes-Benz don't have that, but they do have something that is quite clever. They have a 12-volt socket right underneath there, which is quite handy for sure. Saves you having to wire stuff into fuse boxes and that sort of thing. Now some of you might be thinking, well, what's the ride quality like between the two? They are both really good. I think the Mercedes tops it ever so slightly. It's very smooth. That's what they're designed for, you know, on the German autobahns. I would love to test this on a German autobahn and actually see how fast it would go and how noisy it is at really high speeds. But obviously in the UK, this is our max speed. It's not that fast. But yeah, all round great practicality, all round great car, full of tech. Obviously, I've mentioned the saloon a couple of times. I saw it on the saloon before, but now it's in the estate. And this kind of just gives you an idea as to what could be coming in the future to other models in the Mercedes-Benz range. I can't wait. Well guys, if you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, be sure to check out the E-Class Saloon review, which I'm going to link just kind of up here somewhere. So yeah, if you want to see that one, click on the pop-up banner there. But thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you to Mercedes-Benz for providing this car so I could actually make this video, so huge shout out to them. But guys, thank you so much. Until next time, see you then.